Look, I showed up here in this module, okay? So this module is really important, okay? This module is where we're gonna get started talking about the actors, okay? About looming. We're gonna see in this module that the actors, that's the name that Unreal gives to the objects inside Unreal Engine, okay? You're gonna see that the light is an actor, the geometry is another actor, material is an actor, the sequence, that is one of the tools that we use to make animations, is an actor. And we will talk also about looming, okay? So these are important concepts that we need to keep in mind to work here inside Unreal Engine 5, okay? So close the distractions, the TV show, the other video, and let's pay attention here in this module that is a really important module. Nice? So I'll see you in the next class. See you. Hi, we're back to get to know a little more about project settings and how to enable and disable looming, okay? First thing is that I closed Unreal and I open it again. And by default, uh, it doesn't bring us to the render that we were working. Let me close Unreal and let me open it again. If in case you close your project and you're like, I'm tired to study, so I'm gonna close it and tomorrow I'll get back. So you go here, the place where you saved. Remember where we saved, in the desktop, in the workspace. Okay, click here and here, this class here of interface that we created. You can go right here as well, double click. You can either open the project here or via the Epic Games Launcher. You go File, Open Project, okay? By default, when you open Unreal, the project that you were working, that doesn't send you directly to the house, to the project that you were working. It takes you first in the home page, okay? The default inside Unreal. That is that project that we initiate in the course, but you can change it. You can, for example, put your project for all the time that you initiate Unreal, the project that we were working to appear here in the home page. How do you do that? Well, you go here, project settings, and here you have a lot of things here, settings about your project. For example, description, gameplay, maps, movies. All right, you have a lot of things here. Rendering. So you have all these settings here of your project, okay? Obviously, we're not gonna see everything here. We're gonna see the most important things for us, that is the ArcVis, okay? And for example, if you want to change the level, the entry level, initial level, if you don't like this level, you can put your project. You go here, maps and modes, and here you have some settings, okay? And actually, we will talk about some of them during the course, all right? Meanwhile, we're not going to talk about it. So again, we're going to see a lot of them during the course. Here in editor, startup map, you can select the level that you want to start, okay? Click here, open world, and you can select the level that you were working, okay? Piano house, all right? When, for example, when we want to package the project, when you want to introduce this project to someone, you go here, piano house, all right? So we have two places, the map here that I want to start with the editor and the map that I want to start in game, okay? When you finish the project, you're going to introduce this project as a game. So in the game system, in the browsing system, to introduce in real time, we're gonna put the map here. To work, to edit, to create, you're gonna change the map here. I don't advise you to change the map here in the editor. Why? Because if you're doing a project really heavy, our project isn't heavy. But if you're with a heavy project, and this level is the entry level, it can take a long time. Sometimes you want to change something, an asset, or a furniture, a texture, right? And it's gonna take a lot of time, all right, until compile all the shaders and everything. We chose the piano house already here. Let me close it here and let me restart the project. So let's suppose you put piano house as a project in the editor, in the initial project. And after you finish your project, you think like, oh, I just want to take the piano or the armchair. Imagine that when you initiate Unreal, you will have to wait all the project to load, the coding, everything that is inside the project is gonna load. So after you can take, for example, the piano that you want, and that can take a long time, all right? So I don't advise you to do that. I think it's better if you let the default map, all right, in the editor map, and then you can access if you need this, okay? Look, so we initiate the Unreal with the project that we were working, all right? Let's get back. Project settings. All right, maps and modes. Look at this. Let's change it here, all right? Because it's piano house here, our house. Let's put the default, all right? The default map. We cannot see here because it's in another place, all right? Inside here, but we can search for this. And now I'm gonna minimize this, all right? So that I can show it to you. It's here, as you can see. It's inside the files of Unreal, all right? Inside the folders, inside maps, templates, open world. If you don't know this path, it's okay. You can just click on the magnifying glass, all right? And you can click and drag, okay? Until here. Okay, we got it back, open world, when I initiate the Unreal, okay? Let's close it so that we can verify this. All right, let's open it again. So I advise you to leave the default map of Unreal, okay? Because if you're working with a really heavy project, it's not gonna take a long time. Unless you want, for example, to access the map that you are working, okay? All right, we got it back. And you say, okay, Dennis, so I just want to use the map of Unreal, but how can I access my project? You can find it inside the content folder here. Remember, we created a folder called Piano House. We created geometry, materials, textures, and we created the folder level. Inside the folder level, here it is our level of the piano house, okay? You can double click on it. Yeah, that's it, we got it back. So if you need some asset, you can click the double click here, select and send it to your project. Or if you want the place where it is, you can go directly to this with the folders here. For example, if I want to send the piano here, I can click here and I can send to another project, all right? Without even needing to open the level of the project that you were working, okay? We will learn how to do it, all right, during the course. We call it migrate, okay? But don't worry about it right now, okay? Let's focus on the lighting, actors. That is the goal of this class. Okay, I accessed my project, all right? And now let's talk a little bit about the actors. What are actors? Well, basically, actors is the name that Unreal gives to the objects inside Unreal. For example, the lighting, the directional light. Let me put it here. Let me click. Let's bring it here. G. Press G. Okay. The directional light is an actor. Okay. The high fog is an actor. The sky atmosphere is an actor. The skylight is an actor. So it's like if you have a movie, your project is a movie, and the elements of this film, this movie, are the actors. Okay. So you can, for example, add or remove the actors. For example, let's um, let's erase the layer of the clouds. You can just delete it. All right. We just delete it. Let me Control plus Z. All right, we got it back. We can delete, for example, the actor skylight. All right, we did it. Let's press Control plus Z. You can delete the atmosphere. We did it. Okay, you can delete, for example, this static mesh. That is an actor of the type static mesh. Okay, so basically actors are the elements that are part of your project. For example, I want to add an actor of the type direction light, point light, spotlight. All right, or I can add an actor cube, sphere, cylinder, or an actor of the type camera, or these types here. I can do that. Okay. um all right, so they are actors. Based on that, we can add or remove the actors. Okay, but before to do that, let's change some settings here inside Unreal Engine so that we can identify and realize the difference and the utility of the actors. Look at this. I don't know if in your project, I think it is, but if it's not, here, it is already with the looming activated. By default, Unreal Engine 5 already brings the looming activated. Today, we are working here with the graphic cards RTX 3080. So by default, it already brings it to me. Unreal already brings the looming to me. Okay. If the looming isn't activated for you and the scene isn't like mine, let's disable the looming, and let's learn how to activate this. All right. So we can understand and see the importance of each actor. Okay. So let's go here, edit, project settings. We talked about the maps and modes, and now let's talk a little more about, let's see, engine and rendering. So let's go and let's configure this. Basically, here you configure the quality of your project, the type of animation, if it's the looming type of tracing type. So in this mode specifically, we'll talk about looming, but it's important that we talk a little about the other modes of lighting so that we can understand the reason we use looming or the reason we use e-tracing. Okay, what is a looming, what is that, so it's important. So let's click here, rendering. Let's go down until global illumination. All right, let's close the other ones. Okay, so let's go here, global illumination, reflections. For the system of global illumination, we see that this dynamic is using looming. All right, and to the reflection method, it is also using looming. Let's change it. For example, for known. Okay, and the reflection as well to known. All right, this way I'm not using looming anymore to illuminate the place. All right, so I don't have looming here. Let's type here the mesh. Here, up here, you can search specific terms. Okay, let's type mesh. Look at this. It is saying that it's generating a mesh distance fields. Okay, what is that? Well, you can see some black spots here. What are these black spots? Unreal. Let me put something here. Unreal, as it is an engine of games, it tries to simulate the bounces, the GI, shadows of contact using a system, for example, that we see in 3ds Max and Blender called ambient occlusion. All right, it basically identifies the areas of contact and it tries to simulate the GI. We can't forget that our engine is an engine of game, and the engine of game, the goal is to be very optimized, all right, to run very good. So an engine of games tries to find strategies to try to get to realism, the scene, okay, and also very light in terms of processing, okay. So before e-tracing for looming, we used to use other features to get to realism. For example, to simulate the shadow of contacts, we used to use ambient occlusion. And inside Unreal specifically, when you want an ambient occlusion very good, or try to get more effective way the shadows of contact, we used to use mesh distance field. That is basically the field that is generated by the mesh, the field of contact generated by the mesh. Okay, let me get close here and see if it's possible. Look at this. You can see that I get close the object. You can see this shadow here. All right, when I get close, it's more dark. When I get far, it's more light. Okay, but we don't have quality here. Okay, we're not talking about quality. We will talk about it soon. Okay, but the mesh distance field is working here. Okay, see the edges here is getting dark. Look at this. We can disable this. So let's do it. Look, it's gonna ask to restart the Unreal. All right, let's save everything and let's restart. What were you doing here? What's the goal of this class? Is to show you the functions of the actors, okay? But if we try to identify the function of the actors, but without understanding the system of lighting that we have and how the actors can influence the light, the project. So if we don't see that, we won't be able to understand. Let's undo everything here, the looming, the realism, the bouncing, so that we can understand the functions of the actors. After you understand that, we can get back with the looming, the settings, the realism, the bouncing, okay? So let's get back to the start when Unreal didn't have looming, for example, so that we can understand the reason that looming is important in the functions of the actors. All right, let's see if this is disabled. Let's see, you go here, you can try to find here mesh distance field, generate mesh distance fields, software ray tracing. We're not using the hardware, as it is the mesh distance. It is trying to simulate through the software. It is already disabled. If you don't find it, you type here mesh distance. You can see it here. Okay, we disabled this rendering. Let's see, the loom is disabled. All right, look at this, known, reflection method, known. So let's open our level. Okay, piano house. Look at this, our scene. We don't see those black spots. If, for example, look at this, we don't have those black spots. okay? Uh, so the mesh distance field is disabled, okay? Let me see if we have by default. No. I was gonna search about post-processing system. We'll talk about it soon, okay? Don't worry about it. So all right, our scene is very basic. All right. And you tell me, oh my god, Dennis, now the scene isn't pretty, isn't beautiful. Before it was. Yes, because we disabled the lumen of the system of the line, okay? And also the reflection, all right? Uh, the mesh distance field, okay? So Unreal isn't considering the field that the mesh occupies here in the space, and it's not considering the bounces, okay? Now let's talk about the actors. Look, in lighting, we have the actor of the type directional light, okay? I select this and it is here. Let's press F. Look, this is basically the sunlight, okay? Uh, let's do this. The sunlight, and it's interesting that it moves and the scene is getting more orange. It's like the sunset. Okay, look at this. Uh, Remember that we don't have GI in the scene. We see the effect fog that is happening here as I move the sun. All right, the fog is moving as well. So yeah, so the directional light is responsible. The actor of the directional light is responsible for the directional light. Okay, for the sun. Uh, the exponential high fog is responsible for the atmosphere and also for the shadow that the sun makes. It's like a volume fog. Okay. Uh, Look at this. I can activate or disable. All right. Uh, the sky atmosphere is responsible for the tone of the sky. It also works directly related to the directional light in the sky, and the skylight is responsible for the lighting of your scene. Okay, almost like a generator of GI. Okay, so it's responsible for the light of the sky. All right. Look, if I turn it off, the skylight, I don't have the lining of the sky. Okay, it's like I just have to the directional light. Look, and that's it. See, I have a lot of shadows here, and it's not interesting. So let's activate this. All right, we got it back. The skylight hitting my scene of blue. Okay, let's erase the directional light, and let's only keep the sky. All right, I don't have the directional light here because my skylight uh, is related to my directional light. Okay, in this case here, okay, we can turn it independent. We'll see all of this. Okay, don't worry about it. But for now, let's focus on each function of each actor. Okay, so the skylight is responsible for the light of the sky. It's gonna hit my scene in blue. It's gonna paint my scene in blue. Okay, let's get it back and get the directional light. My volumetric cloud, my clouds I see are, I don't see this. Okay, basically this element and this one and this other one, they are working together. All right, as I spin the sun, I have I can paint my clouds of orange, and I also can paint my scene in orange. Okay, if I move the sun here, noon, I have shadows here, and I have my scene more blue because of the sky that is blue. Okay, and if I do it here, I paint in orange my scene. because these three elements, they are working together, okay? Actually, this one as well, all right? But directly, the directional light in the sky are the elements that are working together. Okay, Dennis, but why my sky paint my scene based on the position of my sun? Well, because if I click on the sky, I can access the details of the sky. And one of the parameters that the sky is telling me is that it is capturing in a real time. Capturing what? Well, let's disable this, the real time capture. All right, we did it. When I do it, um, look, uh, it allows me to choose, for example, the source type. Okay, that by default is this. It's capturing the scene. All right, uh, and I can, for example, change it for this, a specified cube map. When I do it, I can change, for example, um, I can choose a HDR. Okay, when I do it, uh, I'm not gonna capture the scene in real time because I'm going to specify a cube map. Okay, um, and this way I can work my skylight regardless of my directional light. So I'm going to have the sun with a function, all right? That is to create the shadows, all right? To paint my scene in a specific tone, all right? And I can, for example, select the HDR to light my scene and to paint in some shades, okay? But we can see it soon, okay? But for now, let's ask the skylight to capture the scene, our scene, see what's going on here, and allows, for example, what it's seeing. For example, it is seeing a sky blue with clouds, okay? But it doesn't paint my scene with the shade because I'm not capturing in real time. So let's do it. Let's capture it in real time. Now the skylight, uh, look, the skylight is can identify the position of the sun, and as it's painting the scene, uh, it gets this information and also show as a light source. But basically, with indirect light source, and to paint the scene based on the shade of it's capturing. Okay. All right. So let's do something here. Let's delete all these elements and let's create this again. Okay. So that we can understand the functions of each one and how to create these elements from the zero. Okay. From the square one. Let's suppose I don't want a light like this. I want a specific line. I want to add the directional light, my skyline, my clouds. I want to use different clouds. So let's do it, all right? So let's delete them. All right, delete. Okay, let's delete this one for in the last. Let's get started here from the clouds. Okay, I just delete them. Look, let's delete the sky atmosphere. Look at this. We did it, and it says skylight with real-time capturing neighbors in the scene, and that these components need other components to make the lining for us. Okay, after we're gonna add them manually. Let's delete them. I just delete this one, the sky, and the directional light. Okay, our scene is completed black. Oh, Dennis, you screwed the project. It was so beautiful. There is no problem. We'll put it back. Let's go here, here. Look, our project is here. Our house is here. However, we undid everything that was beautiful, okay? The looming, the mesh distance field, the lighting, the sky, the directional light, the atmosphere, okay? We deleted everything so that we can create everything from the start, okay? Let's go here, save all. All right. Okay, now we cannot undo anymore. We have to put the elements. I'm gonna finish this class here, and in the next class, we're gonna add the lining. Okay, see you. For any reason you're having some problem with your files, or if some part of the class isn't working with you, I left for you this file here of Unreal 5 here in the description below, okay, so that you can follow with me and we can put the lights together, okay, and you can follow my class, okay, so you can download there, uh, and if everything's okay with your file, so let's open the project. Clicking double click. All right, great, we closed Unreal in wireframe. So let's get back to lit. By default, the scene that is shown to us is default that we changed and we got it back here in edit project settings. All right, we had changed and now we got it back, the default project of Unreal. And I advise you to let it like this. Okay, so let's open our project that is here, all level, and you tell me, oh, it's black, there's nothing here. Wait, there is. Look at this. Our house is here. We're not seeing because there is no light in the scene. Okay, so let's put lights. Basically, to light the scene in a natural form, in a natural way in the real world. Let's go here, lights. Basically, what we have in the real world. Okay, the directional light. Let's talk a little bit about light. We have the directional light, point light. It's like a light that is showing light from the center to the sides. Okay, like this. Look, you see? That's the point light that shows lights 360 degrees. The other type of light, we have the directional light, that is the sunlight. Okay, the sunlight is like this. Okay, that is the one that we had. All right, the spotlight, look at this. Let me see it. Look at this. All right, in this type of light, for example, that you're gonna add a texture of IES. We're gonna talk more about it. Another type is rectangular light. Okay, I'm gonna click and drag it. Just press F. Okay, it's a rectangular light. Okay, look at this. And we also have the skylight, right? To the world, to the atmosphere, and also to the natural scene. We need the directional light, right, to simulate our sun. Look at this, our sun. We need also a sky, okay, that's gonna represent our sky. Look at this. We have the directional light of the sun. We have the sky that is gonna do the function of storing what it is seeing, okay, the light that is getting inside, okay, and emit this to help us with the secondary light, okay, the light of the sky in the blue shade. Okay, we also need a sky atmosphere, okay, to generate the atmosphere. Okay, it is here. Sky atmosphere. Uh, this is the load of post processing. We're gonna talk about it after. It's like a Photoshop, okay? Inside Unreal Engine. Here, where you're going to adjust temperature, contrast, white balance, camera adjustments, effects, a lot of things. All right, it's very important, but we're gonna add this after. Okay, sky atmosphere. Uh, we need this now. Uh, Cloud, volumetric cloud, exponential high fog. We need this, for example, to emit the fog in our scene, the smoke of our scene. Okay. This is a sphere. Okay, that can capture reflection. We use this element when we choose the method of reflection, not in the lumen type, okay, but the in screen space. Let me talk about something here. Project settings. Do you remember that we came here in rendering and we changed here reflection mode? We put to none. Do you remember that? If you see here, we have screen space here that basically is gonna look into your scene. It's gonna store the reflection and it's gonna show it to you. It's used a lot in games, so it has a lot of features to try to simulate in an optimized way, in a light way. Okay, the things of the real world. Okay, for example, to show us the reflections. One of the technologies that can be looming, retracing, is the screen space, okay? And to use the reflection system of the type screen space, you need to have in your scene visual effects and sphere reflection capture, okay? This sphere is gonna capture the image of your scene of the type spherical, and it's gonna emit in your screen the reflections, okay? This one as well, okay? Box reflection capture. It's gonna look at your scene and show you of the type box, the captures of the reflections, okay? Planar reflection is a type of reflection. It's very used, for example, in mirrors, okay? And the decal actor we're gonna use, that is to bring surface irregularities. For example, water stain, a crack on the wall. It's like a stick. For example, like uh, a stick that you put on the wall, all right, or any surface to simulate an irregularity. Okay, we're gonna use that as well. Now we're gonna add a sky atmosphere. Okay, let's put in the scene. We just did it. Sky atmosphere. Okay, we have these elements in the scene, sky atmosphere, and the directional light. First, let's select the directional light. Let's go into details and let's change some things here. For example, one of the things that we have to change is to select, and let's go and configure this as movable, okay? If you look mobility here, we have three types of mobility. The first one, second one, and third one, okay? In our course, in this course, we're gonna use lights of movable, okay? But talking in general, the mobility of the light is responsible for the type of light and how the light is gonna be generated in your project. Basically, we have mobility in all the lights. For example, in the directional light, we can select static, stationary, or movable. In the skylight, we can put static, stationary, and movable. In the sky atmosphere, we can put these three assets, these three as well. Okay, features as well. What is that? Well, basically, the mobility determines and like in how your scene is gonna be lining, okay, how the elements are going to behave in Unreal Engine 5 using the method of the type looming. All things happen in real time and in a dynamic way, okay, movable. Using, for example, Unreal 5 or Unreal 4, uh, we have a method of lining, uh, of directional light of the type stationary and static, okay? When I select these two options here, these two methods of mobility, I'm telling to Unreal that I don't want the movable lining. I don't want uh, my mobility in real time. I want to store the information about the light, like shadows, directional light, indirect light, shadow of contacts. I want to store in some place. That means this light is gonna be static. Okay, it's not gonna move. When I select directional light of the type static, that means that uh, I'm using some process of lining, some method of lining, and I want to store the information of lining in a static form, not in a dynamic way. Okay, so if it is static, that will not move. Okay, so after storing this information in some place, I will not, for example, be able to change the position of my sun, because if you look at the screen, that brought us a message of preview, because I'm using for my directional light the system of lining static. Okay, so the system of lining is static. Okay, um, this way I will not be able to move the position of my light, or I can choose the stationary form. All right, that is the middle ground of the static light and the dynamic light, which means that the type of fixed light and the type of light in real time. Okay, if I use this type static, I have benefits and cons. uh, One of the benefits, I have more fluidity in my scene, more frames per second, and the result of bouncing directional light, they will be stored in some place, okay, in channel 2 of my model. And to do that storage, we need to use a feature inside Unreal called Build. That is a system of processing of light. It's like a render, okay? Uh, we say to Unreal, we want to store the information of light in the geometry using the channel 2, okay, through build, okay? It's almost like a render. So Unreal Engine will process this light. It's gonna take a time to process, to do this build, and when it finishes, it's gonna store the information of light and shadow inside the channel 2 of my model. Okay, this feature is more used in Unreal Engine 4, okay, where we don't have looming, because we don't have looming in Unreal Engine 4. So it's interesting to use the type of light static or stationary. What is the benefit of the static light? Is the frame per seconds. Okay, they're going to be higher, the frames per second, because as the light is not going to be processing in real time, and it's not the type movable, the calculation is not done in real time. So my graphic card isn't gonna work so hard like that. So when it's interesting to use the static light, well, when we're gonna send this project to a client who doesn't have a really high level computer. For example, my piano house project, I want to send the to the client, and I want to introduce it to my client. So it's interesting if I use the static light, okay? Because things will not happen at the same time in a real time, okay? And it won't be necessary a really high graphic card, okay? and all the calculation is going to be started somewhere, someplace, okay? In the channel 2 of my model. We talked about it a lot during the whole course of Unreal Engine 4. In this course, Unreal Engine 5, where the big difference is going to be the Lumen, we will not be talking about static light and stationary light, build and channel 2, okay? We're not going to talk about them. If you want to do this project in a light way to introduce to a client who doesn't have a really high level computer, you can access right below the video the link of the course of Unreal Engine 4. There is a really full course, okay, complete course with like 90 classes where you can learn all about Unreal Engine 4, okay? You can introduce projects using stationary lights, open mesh, do a lot of things, okay? Basically, in this course, we're gonna learn all about Unreal Engine 5 to initiate and finish the project, and we're gonna do this using Lumen. But if you want to learn about static and stationary, there is the link right below the video, okay? But remember, you don't need to buy the course, okay? This course here, Unreal Engine 5, we're using Lumen. That is this awesome technology of Unreal Engine 5. During the course, you will identify the advantages of using Lumen and also the disadvantages, okay? Then you will have an idea how it is, okay? So let's keep going. Let's talk about directional light of the type movable, because we're using Lumen, okay? And everything is gonna happen in a dynamic way. We have some details about the light. Here, temperature, you can adjust, but I'm gonna leave it unchecked because we're gonna capture this temperature in real time, okay? We have some other options here. Cast shadows. We have a lot of things here, okay? We will talk about them during the classes, okay? But for now, you can go here, atmosphere sunlight, and you can check this, okay? Verify if it's checked, all right? It's interesting if you leave it checked, okay? Because it's gonna capture the sunlight based on the atmosphere, okay? When you check this option, it already understands automatically the position of your sun, and it updates the shade of the scene for you based on the position and direction of your sun. Look at this. Look, if I uncheck this, it doesn't consider the position of the light, all right? And it doesn't consider the atmosphere. So let's check this. All right, let's leave it checked. All right, next item is our skylight. First thing, as in the directional light, we need to keep it like movable, all right? We also have the other options, stationary and static, okay? Static needs a process of building to store the information of light in the channel 2 of my geometries, and that's gonna help the FPS. The stationary is the middle ground of storing the information and gaining performance with some features of the movable, okay? And I have the dynamic light movable that is gonna do everything in real time for me, okay? So you're gonna leave it like movable, and you're gonna check this real-time capture, okay? Cool, that's it. Next element that we can add is the exponential high fog, all right? That's gonna bring us the shadow, all right? The shadow of the smoke, the fog. Inside details, movable. It is an object of the type movable. Here you can adjust the density, all right, other things. Let's leave it like this meanwhile, and let's add the clouds, okay, in our project. let's create a visual effect volumetric cloud. Okay, and that's it. We added the clouds in our project. Great. Yeah. So if I go to my sun here, as I rotate my sun, that paints, and you can see the lights as well. All right. Look at this. It's a shade more like orange. Look at this, the sunset. All right. In real time, everything is happening in real time. The fog, all right, the smoke of the fog. Look at this. Look, we can increase or decrease the intensity. I'm gonna put 10. Look at this. If I change it, we can change it, as you can see. Default is like this, all right. The fog of our house, and you can activate, for example, so that it understands the volumetric fog. This way, it already brings us the smoke of the volumetric. For example, let's spin our directional light. Okay, like this. Look, I can realize that there is smoke of the type volumetric, the fog. Okay. Look at this. Can you realize this? Look at this. Let's disable the volumetric fog. Perfect. I don't have volumetric fog anymore. Let's activate this. All right. And you have to consider the volumetric fog. Let's just decrease a little bit the intensity because it's too much. All right, cool. Look at this, perfect. This way, we have now the lighting of our scene, the basic lighting of our scene. It's done, okay? So we can keep going with our project. So recapping the class until here, we added a directional light to do the function of the sun. We added an expositional high fog of the atmosphere. We also added a skylight to capture the sunlight, okay, capture the shade of the sky, all right, captured our scene and emit as a light source. And we also created a sky atmosphere so that we could create the atmosphere of the sky, obviously. And we also added the volumetric cloud. Yeah, volumetric cloud. Okay. All right. So to finish this class, let's organize this so that we can find the elements in a faster way. Right button, move to create a new folder. We're gonna call it effects. Okay. Volumetric cloud is already in there. Exponential is also an effect. Let's move to here. Okay. What else? Sky atmosphere. Yeah. Let's send or move to effects. Skylight is a light source. We can move to lighting. What else? The directional light. We can move to lighting. Okay. This way, we can keep our project always organized. Okay. Let's move all these elements. Let's create a folder and let's call it open. Let's call it landscape. Okay. After, we're gonna delete them. Okay. All right. Perfect. And let's create a folder for our static meshes. Let's see. Create a folder, static mesh. So let's save it, our project, and we're gonna keep going in the next class. See you. Cool, we're back here. Let's go to our project. That is already with the directional light, the skylight, the atmosphere, and the clouds, the volumetric clouds, and the exponential high fog. Let's leave it like this, close to the others. And we can now activate the Lumen so that we can start our photorealism course, okay? Using Unreal Engine 5 with Lumen, okay? So let's go. How can we activate the Lumen? You can see that there is no bouncing here. Look, in the scene, everything is flat, all right? I just have the shadow of the directional light, but I don't have shadows of indirect light. Look at this. There is no indirect lights because there is no bouncings happening here. There is no looming here happening, okay? We have some doors here. Okay. After we're gonna put them up, okay? Actually, I'm gonna delete them. Let's see the pivot of them. The pivot is wrong, so we can delete them. And delete. Okay, great. And these two here, let me check this. I think they are kind of lost in the position. Let's adjust this, the position. Actually, it's kind of wrong. I think it is inverted in the axis X, in the X axis. Okay, after we can correct this, okay? Don't worry about it. Let's activate the looming, okay? To activate the looming, to have bouncing, we go to Edit, Project Settings. Let's go until Rendering here. And let's find Global Illumination, okay? Look at this. It is saying that our global illumination there is none. Let's change it to looming. Interesting. The looming. Lumen reflections are designed to work with looming global illumination and have been automatically enabled. Okay. Let's see. Requires generate mesh distance fields. This has been enabled automatically and requires. Remember that we disabled this mesh distance fields. Okay, so now to work with looming, it's gonna activate this. Okay, because technology looming uses as a base the mesh distance field. Okay, all right, activated. Yeah, activated. All right, always verify in your project settings if indeed it has activated the mesh distance field, okay? And then it's gonna ask to restart, all right? Even if it doesn't ask, you can restart Unreal, okay? Let's save it. Cool, it brought us here. Let's go Piano House. Great. If you see how it is, it's a little different. Let's verify if it is activated. Project settings. Let's see. Rendering. Global illumination, looming, reflection method, looming. Yeah, it is activated. Let's see what else we have about Lumen here. Let's show it to you. We can, for example, use the hardware of ray tracing all right, when it's available, but we're not gonna talk about it now. After we can activate this, okay? Mainly when we talk about glasses and reflections, all right? Meanwhile, let's leave it like this. And we have two types here. The ray tracing mode, all right, software. We have detail tracing and global tracing, all right? Basically here, using tracing, detail tracing, you have a little more quality in your scene, all right? But as you have a lot of objects, uh, it's gonna cost more for your graphics card, okay? After you have the global mode, all right, global tracing, it's gonna be better for your graphics card, okay? But you have a little lower quality, okay? We're gonna live in the higher quality, okay? Detail tracing. Okay, cool. The hardware ray tracing, after we're gonna talk about it, and after we're gonna talk about the support hardware ray tracing, okay? We're not gonna talk about it now, okay? Cool. The looming is already working. Let's verify this in our scene. Let's put our sun here more inside the house so that we can see the lighting, the global lighting happening. Okay, let's go here, inside here. All right, we're here. Let's take our skylight and let's drag it here. Cool. Let's change the position of our sun. Look. Look how interesting it is. Obviously, we have some leaks here and we don't have any type of quality. Everything is very basic meanwhile, okay? But we can already see the looming happening. Let's press 8 so that we can hide it, this part. Here, it's dark, right? It's dark. Yeah. So where is our sun? Our sun is right here. Let's move it. Let's move it. All right, let's spin the position. Let's rotate. You can realize our scene. Okay. The lighting. Look at this. The light and the global illumination happening. Okay. Cool. Let's decrease like a sunset. All right, like a shade of a sunset. Noon. Okay. And here we're more like a shade of a sunset. Look at this. It's like a sunset. Look at this. Okay, obviously we don't have details and quality here. We're gonna improve the quality. Okay, this class we're only learning how to activate and disable the looming. All right, let's move to the other side. Look how beautiful it is. Everything is happening real time. Okay, the bouncings they are happening real time. Okay, cool. I'm gonna finish this class here so we can take a rest, drink water, because in the next class, the next module, it's gonna be more complex, all right? Where we're gonna understand the looming settings, we're gonna improve the quality, adjust parameters, understand how looming works, how are the bouncings, and how things are gonna behave, okay?